and it's about panel discussion, a very heavyweight panel discussion, I would say, actually. All the great brains are here, so please do not miss it out. Absolutely, right? Okay, so the panel discussion will be on the great innovations Bangladesh has done. And this is more of an inspiration session for me because I'm a very proud Bangladeshi. And what we have done, we really need to portray, and that is the discussion that we'll be having today. Now, I would be requesting Ifti Islam, Chairman, Asian Tiger Capital Partners, to moderate this session. And the panel members are, as I said, they're very heavyweight. One is Tasin Ifnur Said, Head of Business Intelligence, DNet. Mahabub Zaman, MD, Datasoft Systems, Bangladesh Limited. We'll be having, as I said, Syed Farhad Ahmed, MD and CEO of Amra Technologies. We'll be having Kader Abdul Bhai, PhD and CEO, Viola Vitalis, Sweden. And of course, one and only Sonia Bashir, MD, Microsoft, Bangladesh. I'd request to come up on stage and let's start this amazing session. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I know we're running a little bit over time, but I'm sure your patience will be repaid. It's a very, moderator said, a star-studded panel. There's been a lot of discussion about what we need to do to make innovation successful in Bangladesh, but I think one of the things I think a few of the speakers today have hinted at is Bangladesh is already an extremely innovative country, and Bangladeshis as a people are extremely innovative. So I think this panel discussion has two goals. One is to, as the title suggests, highlight some innovations that are currently happening in Bangladesh, and then secondly, perhaps to get some feedback from this distinguished panel as to what we can do to help foster even more innovation, or the next phase of innovation in Bangladesh. So again, I won't give too much of an introduction. Let me start by going straight to the panelists, and let me start with Farhad Bhai. I'll go in order. What kinds of innovations is our Amra Networks, I know, are doing a number of innovative things. Do you want to give some examples of some innovations that Amra is doing, and maybe something you have in the pipeline? Please go ahead.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I know it's always difficult to listen to a session after lunch, but I hope you'll all bear with us. I think innovation is a very broad term, and what Amra has always tried to do is we've tried to be and remain very focused on building a solution or designing a solution based on needs. So if you think about it for a second, when we started our journey in ICT, which was more than 2 decades ago, Bangladesh was not the Bangladesh of today. There were a lot more challenges back then. There were challenges with infrastructure, in terms of power, in terms of connectivity. I'm sure many of us on this panel, Mahbub, definitely remember those days where we were really struggling even to get adequate power to power up machines that we had invested in. But in terms of focusing on needs, I think one of the solutions that we have recently launched is our We Smart Solutions, our We brand of mobile devices and mobile solution. And I call it not a mobile device, but a mobile solution, because it's exactly that. It is a solution. Because if I ask any of you, I'm sure everyone in this room has a smartphone or is using a smartphone. Is there anyone who's not using a smart device in this room? I didn't think so. So just imagine, though, if your smart device, for any reason, if today there was no connectivity whatsoever, let's say the mobile networks were down, there was no Wi-Fi, how smart would your smart device be? Because you can't connect to anything or anyone, right? So a smart device can become a dumb device very, very quickly. So one of the innovations that we have done is by focusing on 160 million people. The dream is to get each and every one of them connected. So it's not just about the availability of a network or availability of a 3G or 4G network or Wi-Fi. It's also about the affordability, because the minute you bring in 160 million people into the equation, another big challenge comes up, which is affordability. So with We, our promise for our brand has been, we want each and every We customer to be able to be connected, regardless of their bank balance, regardless of their income. So we have gone and have already started deploying. Today we have more than 1,000 free Wi-Fi hotspots throughout Bangladesh. We've focused on locations which are public locations, so whether it's a bus terminal, train station, a college campus, a bazaar hut, a post office, and anyone with a We device can actually connect for free 24/7, 365 days a year to this Wi-Fi hotspot. So we'll be rolling out a number of more of these hotspots. In fact, we're taking our second company public this year. It's listing immediately after Ramzan, inshallah. And one of the main reasons we are raising funds is to help us deploy a huge, massive infrastructure throughout Bangladesh. You also know, as you heard from Palak Bhai as well, the government is also funding a number of such infrastructure projects, and there's a beautiful opportunity for PPP, public and private sector, to deploy more and more such infrastructure. Besides that, in part of the solution is the next big challenge for 160 million people is that many of them will only be able to afford one device. Again, I've given an example of everyone in this room. We have multiple devices. We have a mobile phone. Some of us may have a tablet or a laptop or a desktop. So for us, how much storage is actually available on our smart device is not that important, because we can either back up some of this data onto a laptop or a desktop, or even because we have literally unlimited data access into the cloud, right? But think of my personal driver downstairs. He has only one device, and that's his smart device. So what happens when his device's memory is full? He would probably have to either delete some of the pictures or videos or something that he has in the device, because for him, using Google Drive or Dropbox or any other cloud storage facility is expensive because he has to buy or purchase data. But with every single We device, even with a 3,000 taka device, we are providing 25 GB of cloud space. So there's 3 tiers, 25 GB, 50 GB, and 100 GB of cloud storage space, which is a cloud deployed in Bangladesh, in our data centers here. So again, the cost of uploading and downloading files is through local data rather than internet data. So this is a simple example of a solution-based, addressing crying needs of 160 million Bangladeshis.
Okay, great, Farid Bhai. In fact, I think there's an expression, when people ask me about Bangladeshi entrepreneurs, I always quote Friedrich Nietzsche, an Austrian philosopher. He had the expression, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And I think that's true. But I think that's true of innovation as well. And I think something that you resonated with what you said is that a lot of innovation is coming about in Bangladesh because of challenges or constraints, whether it's energy or whether it's the cost of data and so on. So thank you for all those examples. Mahbub Bhai, maybe we come on to you now, and I wanted to be more specific in what I wanted to ask you to enrich the discussion. Datasoft is, I think, in my mind, one of the most innovative technology companies in Bangladesh. But there was a lot of talk this morning about the fourth industrial revolution, about AI, about big data. But the other big leg of the fourth industrial revolution is actually IoT. And this is an area that Datasoft, I think, is again being very pioneering, as the ICT Minister was saying. So can you comment a little bit about what you're doing in how you're thinking about IoT and how you're helping Bangladesh innovate in IoT space?
Thank you, Ifti, and good afternoon, everyone. Actually, to me, we and Datasoft are part of the innovation wave which is going on in total Bangladesh. Actually, we repeatedly say that we are having a huge young population, and lots of innovation initiatives are going on. Thanks to Brand Forum and A2I and Microsoft for arranging this Bangladesh Innovation Conclave. Actually, in the morning session, I could not attend because there was a inter-university innovation, not innovation, mobile app contest in Daffodil University, so I had to go there. Last week, there was another innovation event by Innovation Forum of Bangladesh. The week before, it was in Independent University of Bangladesh, and these kids are coming up with many interesting ideas. Actually, why Datasoft has moved into it? Because we understand that if we have, do a leapfrog jump and catch up this requirement of fourth industrial revolution, which is actually, it started with steam engine, maybe the first revolution, then machinery and all these things. But now, the fourth industrial revolution is totally based on information technology. And this is artificial intelligence or virtual reality or augmented reality or big data analytics. Why we have chosen IoT? Because we find that IoT is having a huge arena of services, and it is changing our lifestyle. Every one of us, somehow or other, we are connected. And connected till few years back, we are connected humanly. Now the objects are connected. So we'll have to connect all these things. And when we are talking about IoT, it covers software, then it covers devices, and also analytics. And that covers not only computer science and EEE, that not only covers physics and chemistry, that is also covering for analytics, statistics, economics, and every aspect of science and social sciences. When we started this IoT, we have chosen that we'll do some of the products which will be of our use. But one observation is that our kids are coming up with many innovations. But if we cannot turn this innovation to enterprise, then these innovations are great, but it is greater if it is turned into enterprise and for the use of the people. So I think that we'll have to think about I2E, that means innovation to enterprise. And in this Bangladesh Innovation Conclave from Datasoft, actually there are many initiatives from the government, from big corporations like GP, Microsoft, and others. From Datasoft, we volunteer ourselves, we offer that we want to make innovations into enterprises. And anyone, that from innovations to enterprise, that means going to market, it is a huge, big life cycle. We want to groom them up, we want to fund them, we want to guide them, and we want to take it into enterprises. So, and we are really fortunate that nowadays, what is happening that we are getting calls from non-resident Bangladeshis who are dealing with this technology, high-end technologies, but when they are going for scaling up or outsourcing, they are choosing other destinations like Bangalore or Chennai or Hyderabad, not Bangladesh. But recently, there is a trend. In front of me, I have one person who is technology director of Datasoft, Hassan Rahman Ratan. He was in USA for 40 years, served NASA for 32 years, and now landed in Bangladesh and working with IoT. And he is leading this IoT initiative. I have Masood Khan from England. He is into the e-commerce and hospitality management system. And he is now sitting here to see that how these innovations can be done. One of the major problems we face in the enterprise, that when they are coming, they want this cutting-edge technology, resources in a number. Yesterday night, I called up Sonia Bhabi Sorry, because so Sonia Bashir Kabir, that I need 25 Microsoft Dynamics resources. How can I find it in Dhaka city? He was telling that he may be advising me something, but I know that it is very difficult to get 25 Microsoft Dynamics resources. Actually, we have opened up our office in Japan, and that is focused on IoT. And they are asking us for 300 IoT engineers. And that is why we have started this journey. And we are telling that by 1 year, we'll be developing 300 IoT armies, and 30 of them has already started. They are doing some projects for Japan, some projects for Bangladesh. Even for IoT, Bangladesh is an excellent market because 160 million people, we are already working with some projects. So considering that, maybe we'll have to, as an industry, in the industry, we'll have to think about this critical masses of specific verticals of resources and expertise. That means I need 40 Liferay resources just at this moment. I don't know that, whether I'll be getting here. Anyone in Liferay, working in Liferay? Anyone here? Can you help us with Salesforce resources? So with innovation, actually, if we do not merge with, that means contemplate with this innovation and industry and university, I don't think that it will be just a dream. That will not be coming true. And regarding dream, I always say that I always quote the quotable quotes of Indian ex-president, the scientist APJ Abul Kalam. What we dream during our sleep is not dream. That is dream which cannot allow us to sleep over nights and days. So just to think about these ideas. So considering that, we are working on university-industry collaboration also. And recently we have started with Dhaka University. They have offered 6 students for 6 months, that means 4th year, first semester, with 6 credit points. And we'll be dealing this thing. And if we can do this type of university-industry collaboration, I think this innovation and this will come to a reality.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mahbub. That's very insightful. And I think you raised a number of important themes. And the last point was the importance of HR. We need the key. You have to have the innovation is a very complex recipe, but one of the key ingredients is trained professionals all the way from the university level. Well, maybe now we can move. I think again another theme that's come up several times today is global knowledge transfer and kind of two-way knowledge transfer. And I think not just because they're the sponsor, but also the largest global technology companies is Microsoft. So maybe, Sonia Appa, you can tell us a little bit about some specific examples of where there's been innovation transfer and innovation collaboration between Microsoft globally and what's happening in Bangladesh.
Thank you, Ifti. Very good afternoon, everyone. I know you're very tired, so I'm going to speak as less as possible. And first, I'd like to begin by just describing what innovation is and what it means to us. When I was growing up, the term innovate actually meant some piece of hardware that you built. Nowadays, the rules of the games have changed. There is no level playing field. The Iron Curtain has collapsed. Everybody is trying to race and run the marathon, and nobody knows who's going to hit the finish line. We've got Internet of Things, we've got machine learning, artificial intelligence, and then there's big data. So everybody is kind of toying with the idea of what is the solution that will stick. What Microsoft is doing in the 100 countries that we are present in is first working with the youth and teaching them 2 things. First is be courageous and be curious. If you're curious, you will ask a lot of questions, and then you will try to figure out a different way of doing things. And if you're courageous, you will actually follow through on what your curiosity led you to. So when you give that kind of an atmosphere to the youth, they feel that they are a bit encouraged to go and experiment. And that's exactly what we're doing with what is called the Imagine Cup, or the Olympics of Technology, where we tell them, solve a problem of the world that is affecting many people and leverage technology. It doesn't have to be Microsoft technology, it could be any technology. Because with the way the world is moving and data being the new currency, we understand that Bangladesh, with a population of 160 million people, has a very big test bed. Whatever we do, if it works in our country, we have the strength of numbers to go and tell the other parts of the world, it works here, it'll work for you. So our neighboring countries, Singapore, 5 million, Sri Lanka, 20 million, we've got 160 million people. So we have a lot of force, and what we're trying to do is get the synergy behind the force with technology. Uber and Airbnb, would anybody call them an innovation? It's debatable, right? It's not a product, but it is a very innovative platform. They have done very well with their thinking, and just organizing a platform that did not was very cost intensive. So I think with that also we have a lot of scope that we're trying to do with Microsoft, and we have voice recognition. You've heard about Skype Translator. You're looking at the retina icon, recognition leading to other kind of diagnosis. We have a lot of things that I will not waste your time on, but for Bangladesh I would say that the youth are poised for takeoff. Please think differently. And I liked what Munir Bhai said. He's out there that fail fast. It's very okay to fail, but learn from it and keep innovating. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Sonyapa. And I just to reinforce what you're saying, and I think also your boss, Satya Nadella, also said data is the new new currency, the new electricity. And in fact, I think that one other, again, broader kind of strategy observation about data. I mean, CK, some of you, many of you in the audience have probably heard of CK Prahalat and The Fortune at the Bottom of the Pyramid. It's a very famous management text which focused on the commercial opportunities amongst the poorest people in India. And they were talking about selling $1 sachets of soap and so on. But in a world of big data, the fortune at the bottom of the pyramid is the data. So the billion people at the bottom of the pyramid are in many ways equally valuable as the billion people at the top of the pyramid in the world of data, especially in areas like health or in agriculture and other sectors where data and training AI is very important. So I think, Sonyapa, you highlighted that that's a big opportunity for Bangladesh. I think, Mamba, you mentioned the diaspora and our non-resident Bangladeshi, so maybe next I can come to Kader Bhai, because you're both Bangladeshi, you've got a very successful technology company in Sweden, and you're also implementing some of those technologies in Bangladesh in healthcare space. So please tell us a bit more about what you're doing.
Thank you so much. I will just talk a little bit about what we have been doing for the last several years. In terms of innovation, we can see that there are three segments. One is we generally do the innovation from scratch that helps to solve an important questions of humankind. Second, it could be that we adopt some innovation that somebody else developed to some extent and we bring it further. And the third things could be that scaling up of innovation in large scale in different countries and continents. I'm basically a microbiologist. I studied microbiology in Dhaka University, and then I studied business in IBA. And just before I go to Sweden, I worked 3 months with a project where my job is to work with arsenicosis patients. At the time in 2000, there were a lot of issues concerning arsenicosis in water. Was a very big problem in Bangladesh. But when I went to Sweden, I have been working in a completely different field in molecular microbiology. And I'm just giving the background that how we come up with very small initiatives into solving a very large questions of the mass catastrophe in the world that is called arsenicosis. When I have been working with molecular microbiology, we discovered a molecule called cyclic di-CMP. It's a second messenger molecule. Bacteria produce that, and if you take antibiotics, you cannot kill the bacteria due to this secondary messenger molecule. And many of the pharmaceutical industry is interested to synthesize that molecule. And I had in my mind that in Bangladesh, there is almost 70 million people are exposed to arsenic, and they have visible symptoms in their body. So I often ask them, why don't you make a product and services for this segment of people? And more often I have encountered the question that they don't have purchasing capacity or limited purchasing capacity. So I asked myself that how we can make a product and services for this segment of people, because also I have heard from many scientists and bureaucrats that if you want to do research and invention, you need a lot of money. So what I did, I started to go to courses like Science Put to Use, Commercializing Science in the campus, and also in the Stockholm School of Economics in different courses. So I thought that there are a lot of science has been done in this field. So how we can convert this science in the paper into a capsule or an ointment, to solve this. Fortunately, I met with a scientist from University of California at Berkeley in 2005. So he wanted to use some molecule for increasing the guard bacteria for some purpose. And I wanted to use that molecule for making product for arsenicosis patients. So we had like 3 days tough discussion. He is not convinced with my argument. And I mean, I know that he is right in his field, but it can be used in other fields as well. So at the end, he brought me to his home, and a whole room was with scientific articles on arsenicosis, that he has been believing in it as well. I'll make it short, because then I took some molecule from him, and we started to do the experimentation on that. And that project is now, we are like globally working, established a company from there. And this is a product that now has been used for the arsenicosis management in Bangladesh. This is a very interesting issue, because the small company, small innovation that can lead to such a significant solution for the community. And from there, we go on and want to invent new things that is interesting for the society. When I started arsenicosis project, I thought that if I can solve one question in my lifetime, I can be happy for that. Because I see a lot of innovators in this country, a lot of entrepreneurs in this country, in Bangladesh, but sometimes I feel like they're doing a lot of multitasking, from wheat producer to garments industry to different things. So maybe we have to have a little bit focused as well. Because the field we have been working, for example, in arsenicosis in water, we realized that this water has been given to milk, I'm showing that. So from there, we made property technology in human milk banking and some other sources. So these small initiatives now we are running globally in different fields, and I'm open to collaborate with many people here. Thank you so much for that.
Okay, thank you very much for your comments. That's very interesting. So let's finish maybe just with just less than 5 minutes, and then we'll have a bit of time for question and answer. So DNet has been, Tahsin DNet, it's definitely been, again, a very pioneering NGO in terms of taking technology and innovation into into the field, into the villages. So maybe you can give an example of some of DNet's innovations, both either the InfoLady program or Apanjon, or whichever you would like to highlight. And if we can keep it to just 4 or 5 minutes, then we'll take questions afterwards.
Sure.
Thank you.
Well, thanks a lot for making me a part of this extraordinary panel of successful individuals. It's my sheer pleasure to talk about the works of my organization that I work for, and to be able to be seated next to you as well. I mean, it's out of the ordinary for me. We at DNet actually sit at a very interesting crossroad of innovations in technology and development. We've been working in this ICT for development space for the past 15 years, and the whole culture of reiterating and designing with users that are very typical of a startup entity, or like, I mean, experimenting with different business ideas and process ideas that are typically associated with the startup ecosystem has always been a part of our DNA. I mean, we've had our fair share of failures in the past. We've came up with interesting ideas that didn't click with the target group that we had designed for. But in the end, what came out really, really catalytic for our success is being able to build something collaboratively, to actually think of building for sustainability, think of sort of growing up to a scale from the very first day of brainstorming that we did. I think these are the very important aspects that made our efforts at making designs successful very, very critical. To give you some examples of what we do in the space of ICT for development is a program named Aponjon, which we started back in 2012. It's basically mobile-based health messaging service. So we actually cater to rural mothers and pregnant women who are in between 6th and 42nd week of their pregnancy, or mothers who have children under 1 year of age. So the reason we designed this program is because we found out that there is an information asymmetry in the rural areas where these mothers, in spite of having access to brick and mortar health facilities or investments being sort of erected and created by the government, they actually don't do their necessary health checkups. They actually don't consult doctors, trained healthcare professionals, in spite of having the financial means as well. It's because there are some built-in information asymmetry and subcultures and superstitions that are at play. So we found that out, and we devised this stage-based mobile messaging service that reaches these pregnant women and new mothers at very important times of their pregnancy or motherhood, and it nudges them up accordingly. So I think it's a really interesting coincidence that we have one of the co-funders or organizers of this event, SSD Tech, as one of our aggregators of the service. So I think it's really important that when we think of startups, when we think of doing something new, out of the zeal that we start with, we tend to disregard the importance of building something collaboratively. I think it's a very interesting example of how to move forward in the space of making technology work for the greater good.
Great. Thank you, Tahsin, and for sharing the DNet experience. Maybe now, just in the interest of time, we can take a few questions, and the organizers can also let me know when I think we're almost out of time, but would anybody like to ask a question in the audience? There's a lady at the back.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Humayra Chaudhary. I run a water tech company called Frontier Technology Limited. My question is to Farhad Bhai and also to Zaman Bhai as well. As startup companies, we have very few resources and limited capital. Is it possible for you, maybe it's a far-fetched idea, but still, providing us with nearly free Wi-Fi services for our offices, or some hotspot centers in Dhaka where we can go and work like Starbucks offer? And also to Zaman Bhai, so much respect for you for working for so long. Is there any opportunity for startup companies to have softwares like accounting or HR management in reduced price so that we can use them? Because whenever I go and ask around, it is either super expensive or there is a way it has to be bought, which we cannot do generally. I haven't been able to buy as well. So is there any way you can help us? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. First of all, at Amra, I can tell you, to answer your question initially, is that you're more than welcome to please approach us, and we're always there to support fellow industry colleagues. Besides that, Amra wears multiple hats. We are also I don't like I'm scared of the word venture capitalist because whenever I think of venture capitalist, it looks like I see a picture of a shark. We are not a shark. We are a very friendly investor, and we are investing in a number of startups today. We have already invested in 6 such startups. One of them has just done a soft launch called GoZion.com. It's a travel portal with a lot of innovation. I know a lot of us who did not have an international credit card or an international credit card that would not work online. Today, GoZion.com has a solution to that. You can use a local Bangladeshi card or any other method of electronic payment to actually pay for a flight ticket or a hotel, rent a car, and so on internationally. Like this, we are investing in other startups also. So to all of you startups out there, I mean, if you're looking for a partner, I think what Amra can bring to the table is besides just money, anyone can bring money. But I think what Amra can also bring is, one is experience, two, our existing customer base. It's always easy to sell something to an existing customer than to go and find a whole new group of customers. Our experience in terms of funding, financing, I mentioned that two of our companies are listed. Our second company is listing actually right after Ramzan. So we are very much already in the public domain. Our dream, a lot of people ask me, Farhad bhai, what's next? And I say, you know, the dream is the day that inshallah Amra can ring that bell on NASDAQ. How many of you have seen people when they list first on NASDAQ, they actually ring a bell. So we want to be one of the first Bangladeshi companies, inshallah, to ring a bell on NASDAQ. Thank you.
Thank you for asking this question. Actually, I cannot commit any discount, but we want a partnership and collaboration. Actually, we are always supporting the startup, and we want to go long way together. And any sort of technical support, grooming, focusing on what you are trying to do, and all this, what we have, we can share all these things together. Actually, it is very much welcome. We always looking at startup companies to work with our companies. So you are always welcome.
I think I've just been told by the organizers that we're already way behind time. So I want to thank all of our esteemed panelists. I think it was we covered a lot in that time. And I'm sure they'll be available for further discussion of questions offline. So thank you again, everybody.